But then you watch a game like tonight and LeBron kicked his ass. He's not ready to be a top 15 guy, but he really, really, really gives a shit about every game. It's great. I love it. This is a long, sustained offensive excellence that when you watch it feels legitimate. We're not going to be nice. What do we care? We're just these, let's call it what it is. Hello. Happy daylight savings to Cousin Sal. I don't know what time it is. It's like, I feel like it's like almost midnight. I feel like I've been up for 100 hours.
We lost an hour of our lives, but I think we won money. I mean, when the favorites are 13-1 straight up, we had to have won money, right?
Is that what happened? Okay.
Oh, we didn't? Well, we did.
I
lose
won
an
some
hour of
money.
our lives.
The Colts kind of hurt my feelings.
Oh.
We just watched a Sunday night Flacco versus Darnold battle. Did the Colts cross the 20? Did he say that near the end? They never crossed the 20?
He said they didn't take a snap inside the 20, right?
So the Colts were also on daylight savings time. This was a messed up day. All the favorites won straight up except for the New Orleans Saints, who lost by a point. So any conceivable tease you have that didn't have the Saints in it basically covered.
Right.
We saw some bad coaching. We saw some pretty awful quarterback play. I can't really think of a well-played, both teams playing really well game that we saw. Can you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, even like you're going to point to the Rams-Seahawks, right? Which was an entertaining game, but neither team deserved to win, I don't think. I mean, the Rams, the Seahawks Seahawked everybody, but well-played game. Interesting. No,
we had a lot of clusterfuck games.
Yeah.
We had a lot of roller coaster games. We had a lot of why did they do that games. And I can't wait to go into all of them. I guess the big thing for me, Sal, 28% of the NFL right now is either 2-6 or 2-7.
Wow. Is
New
that
England.
right?
Yeah, these are the 2-win teams. New England, Miami, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Carolina, New Orleans, and the New York Giants. And I thought this seemed super unusual, but I went back and I looked at some previous years, and like in 2005, 13 teams won 6 games or less. That seems like a lot. 2003, 10 teams went either 4-12 or 5-11. So I guess it's not that unusual. But New England, Miami, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Carolina, New Orleans, and the Giants. All of those teams suck except for maybe Miami. Miami might be sneaky. I know they're a cross-off, but I think the last 2 weeks they've actually been okay. You think like they lost at the end to Arizona, and then today they hung with Buffalo the whole game. So they might be a step up with Tua, but everybody else is terrible.
I'm with you. Maybe glass half full. The number 1 pick usually has 2 wins, right? Like 2 or 3 wins.
Yeah.
To have 2 through 9 games is pretty good. I mean, I feel like these teams will end up with 4-5 wins. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. They all suck. You're right. Jacksonville. No, listen, Miami will screw you if you'll take them against the spread. They'll screw you like they did today. Jacksonville will do the same. They'll do just enough to stay in it. And if you have a favorite, you're going to lose. But other than that, don't look for any entertainment value from a lot of these teams.
Well, they did the rankings for the number 1 pick, which is based on strength of schedule when you have a long tie. New England is number 1 as the number 1 pick right now, 2-7, but strength of schedule of 471. New Orleans 2nd, Carolina 3rd, Cleveland 4th, Vegas 5th, and the Giants are somehow 6th, even though they have the same terrible record as everybody else. I watched the Pats today with Kyle. It was the perfect Patriots game. It was Drake May heroics, sent it to OT, tough loss at the end. It's fine. We don't need to win those games.
Right.
Drake is great. We love Drake. Just all we care about is Drake. The team's going to be bad, and that's how it goes. But when you're bad, you want to have one thing to root for, and ultimately a loss is great.
That's exactly right. And that's a tough pivot for you and Kyle, right? Because your team wins 12, 13, 14 games every year. That's what you're used to the last decade. And now you have to root for it through this different weird lens.
The 2020s.
That's what it is. Yeah, right. And that Hail Mary he threw from the 7-yard line. I mean, really, like it was just like a short Hail Mary. He extended the play. He probably would still be back there running around because I didn't feel like Tennessee like rushed anybody or did anything. But yeah, definitely fun to watch. Much more fun than my quarterback or a lot of these
I
others.
can't wait to talk about your team. Did you see? So they've only been keeping track of this since 2016, the ESPN Next Gen, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
The Daniels Hail Mary last week and the Drake May touchdown to send the game in OT today were the longest a quarterback has held the ball on a touchdown pass.
Yeah,
Drake May held it for, I think, like 12 seconds. And Jaden Daniels yesterday was also last week was also 12 seconds. Yeah. It was unbelievable to watch. I thought they probably should have gone for 2. The numbers might have been against it, especially because Drake was getting the crap kicked out of it. But I feel like on the road, go for 2, decide it. It goes to our theory of if you're the other team, what do you not want them to do? And I think Tennessee's probably more scared if we're just going for 2 there, right?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? You're leaving it to a coin toss. And I know nobody scored 6 and that's how it was, but your defense has to be spent by then. So you're really, that's the other part of it, right? Don't you want to be fresh and okay, we have this play. And like you said, you don't really care if you're winning these games anyway. I just thought that would be a good thing for Mayo, right? To like win the locker room back over with a win. Right. And if you lose, they lost anyway. So it didn't matter. But what you brought up before, maybe it would be fun. Cool new wrinkle that quarterbacks can't be touched for the first 12 seconds. Oh, think of the touchdowns we were seeing in the offense. Yeah, that's it.
It's so funny. He almost ran for 100 yards today. He almost had a 200, 100. And our coaching staff is so bad. They run no plays where he just kind of rolls out. He's so good rolling out. He can either use his legs or throw on the run. We never do it. I tweeted today about the when it's 1st and 10, it's always 2nd and 13 after 1st and 10. We managed to go backwards with a 3-yard play, whether it's a bad screen, a run gets stuffed, something that like it's coaching malpractice with this team. So I'm 99.9% sure this happened. We lose the coin toss in overtime. But then after the game, Drake May said he threw that pass 60 yards that got intercepted. It seemed like he underthrew it, but he chucked it from his own 30. The guy caught it at the 10. And he said he misjudged the wind because the wind was against him.
Oh.
Which means we lost the coin toss, but somehow didn't take the side that had the wind. No. The New England Patriots, 2024, baby. How dumb is that? Do we penalties? It's like it's shocking when this team gets a first down and they don't have flags down, flag on the play.
Yeah. So do we call it the Music City meteorology report? I don't know what we call it. It's interesting.
I don't know what you call it. I was trying to think who has the most hopeless situation out of those 9 teams. Like even if you're Carolina at 2-7. Bryce wasn't awful today.
Right.
He orchestrated a game-winning drive. He was smiling at the end of the game. I don't know if there was all the trade deadline stuff the last few days, and people were like, teams are calling on Bryce Young. It's like, what are they calling for? To see if they can get him for a 7th-round pick? Why would Carolina give up Bryce Young? He's been there 2 years. Like, I wouldn't write that dude off. Right. I think the bleakest situation is still Cleveland. Because they scored 10 points today. They haven't had picks for 3 years. That's probably the team I would not want to be out of all those. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's it. And all the money, the cash restraints, right? They're screwed with this pick, with this Watson. And, we try to convince ourselves that the rookies are great and the Flaccos and the Winstons are good. And then we get smacked in the face in a week like week 9. And Flacco wasn't very good. Winston was very, very bad. Everybody who thought Winston was going to turn the Browns around, including me, I'll have a little egg on their face. But yeah, Cleveland's in the worst spot, I think.
He was just bad. I mean, Tennessee is no great shakes, I'll tell you that. Their defense was pretty good, but they're also, I wouldn't say, the best coach team. I didn't see a lot of building blocks. Their starting center went out today. I mean, out of all those teams, you could talk me into a couple of them never winning again this season. The crazy one to me is New Orleans, though, being 2-7. They started, they've lost 7 straight. And I should have prepped you on this one, but if a coach gets fired tomorrow, which one would you pick?
Who is it?
Because Dennis Allen's got to be the favorite, right?
And now I'm hearing McCarthy from people who are normally level-headed in the Cowboys camp and everything, but are also in the know. So, all right. So it's Dennis Allen. It's not going to be the Raiders. So Dayball. Who are my choices? Dayball, Dennis Allen,
Doug Peterson can't be counted out ever.
Doug Peterson.
And Nick Sirianni, has anyone ever been fired after a win?
Take him
Has that
out
happened
too?
yet?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I would say Dennis Allen. Derek Carr got Dennis Allen fired twice. I think he could do it again, and I think it could be soon. It really could, because we talk about the outlier game, like which was the one that's weird. Like you might say it was the Raiders beating the Ravens, or I think the other one you would say Patriots beating the Bengals. It might have been the Saints beating the Panthers 47-10, because those teams are a lot closer than 47-10 back in week 1. So he's not gone this week. It's going to be soon.
When we did a whole segment before week 3 about the Saints versus the 99 Rams, deciding like, is this real? We didn't think it was real with the 99 Rams for a few weeks. That's in the archives. People can go listen to that.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, he almost killed Chris Olave.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. He did the classic. Not only did he lead him into somebody who was about to pop him, but he put the ball high. So he's jumping up, and you can't alligator arms there because then you look like a wuss. So he's completely extended and helpless as somebody's coming in to crush him. And second concussion this year for him. I don't think we'll see Chris Olave again.
No, I think you gotta keep him out. And I think this is 3 overall in the last, I don't know, two years or something. But what was the worst Derek Carr moment? Like when you almost killed your teammate after the game, when you realize you lost the pathetic Panthers, or when you go back to the locker room, pick up your phone and see that Michael Thomas has waged war on you.
5 straight tweets on you.
Just going crazy. Just an NFC version of Antonio Brown, just laying it out there for him. And then you have to, at the press conference, you have to address it. Bad day for Derek Carr.
Well, it got worse than that because there was all these info tweets. There was one about how he'd now lost to every team in the league except the Raiders, who they play at the end of December.
That's
they had one where he now has the most losses he's tied with Archie Manning for most losses by any QB in their 11th season. He's got like 100 and something losses. So yeah, not great.
Yeah, it was most losses after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And it was like David, Derek Carr, all Cars. And then
Carr family.
He's got to pass Manning. But you're right with that 31. I mean, that is pretty spectacular, losing to 31 teams. And he has a chance to break that, get to 32. I think it's Raiders week 17, I believe.
I was surprised that nobody had done that before. I would have thought one of these QBs that played for 20 years would have just randomly lost to every team. Like, even if it was Tom Brady, I know he didn't lose that many games, but I even would have maybe believed that. But, or like Brett Favre or like Warren Moon or Phil Rivers. You could have told me Phil Rivers did that. Drew Brees.
Anyone who played like 10 or 12 years. Yeah. Flacco.
Yeah, I guess it would be tough because if you're in the same conference the whole time and you're only playing like other divisions, once every 4 years.
Right.
Well, maybe your guy Dak can do it.
I don't know if he's going to be around long enough. I really don't. I don't know.
You want to do this now?
Sure. Yeah. Get it out of the way. What do I have to do? I do I have to apologize? Yes, I do. Because I don't see a path now. I know I did. I had a neatly paved way to go, and we're bad. And Dak is now. I'm not sure what he's saying on the sideline. He say we fucking suck, or the refs suck. It could be both. He'd be right in any point. But I don't know where to start because I was wrong about the running backs. Right? I just didn't think this would be the year from hell, and yet Kellen Moore is thriving. And Dan Quinn is thriving with Washington. And Tony Pollard, who had the softest 1,000 yards you'll ever witness last year for the Cowboys, is second in the AFC in rushing. And now we have injuries all over the place. Yeah. Just disgusting. I'm out on them completely. Fake punt, no tackling.
Out completely. We're not even week 10 yet. We're still in single digits.
Well, the problem is other teams are winning. You know, like the Eagles, I can't.
That is a problem.
I can't give it. And Washington has got 7. They're going to have 10 wins at least. And then you're chasing Minnesota, Green Bay. They'll probably 1 or 2 teams from the NFC West. Come on.
Right now, the Lions are 7-1. Washington 7-2. Philly and Minnesota are 6-2. Atlanta and Green Bay are 6-3.
Mm.
And that's not counting any NFC West team because
Right.
Arizona's 5-4. So those are your 7 right now. So they are a full 3 wins behind basically everybody they have to catch
Yeah, not good.
with half
And
a season left.
well, and Eagles and Texans next. That's before Thanksgiving. They have the Giants. I don't even know if they'd win Thanksgiving. I'm really
But
really
I
so
mean,
down
it
on
feels
them.
like this was Jerry's kind of pseudo plan this whole time to
Yeah.
not spend too much money on this year's roster, just kind of get through it, do the smoke and mirrors thing. But ultimately, like they kind of made their own bed, right? You went into the season
Yeah.
without any running backs. You took the Dak contract to like the tail end of the preseason. Took the CD
Right.
thing, same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he
I
kind of knew what kind of hand he had. It felt like he brought McCarthy back for no reason.
I
That
was wrong
we would
about
have
the
thought that
running
was
backs.
insane in January. That McCarthy, when we did the pod after the Cowboys lost, we were like, "Who's the next coach going to be?" There's no chance it was going to be him.
But this is me apologizing, but I don't. I mean, why did you think it was going to be the year from hell after 3 straight 12-win season? Was it the running back? Was it because their linebackers on paper got better? They were going to have Diggs. He was going to be healthy, and so the defense should have been better. But was it just the running back? I mean, I sure we should
No,
have
there
gotten
was
Henry
more
or
than that.
Barkley.
I thought it was a little smoke and mirrorsy last year.
Okay.
When we did the over unders, I think you went over and I went under, and I just didn't like the look of the team. And neither did the betting public. I mean, the win shifted by an entire win,
Yeah.
which we never see, right? It started
Right.
out at 10.5, it finished at 9.5, and there was juice on the under. It just felt like the things that made the Cowboys special, it always started with like you have an awesome offensive line. Like, let's start there. Awesome offensive line. You could always kind of rush the passer. You could always score points when you needed it. But it was always like the O-line was the foundation of the team, and it doesn't seem like it's the same anymore. So I don't know, like, what's the
missed a
big
lot of-
strength now other than CeeDee Lamb
No.
being a top 7 receiver and Parsons?
There's nothing. There's nothing. You're right. And it is a different team when Micah Parsons isn't double and triple teamed and all he's doing is sitting out and ranking quarterbacks and he doesn't put his own in the top 8. And all the Cowboys news, the Zeke Elliott stuff, everything's such
Yeah.
a big deal and terrible. And then it ends up being a big deal and terrible.
Well, we pegged this as the hardest part of your schedule before the season.
Yeah.
Because you're at San Francisco, at Atlanta, lost those. You got Philly next week, Houston at home on a Sunday night. And then, it gets a little easier the second half. So I could see you talking yourself into
do
this
this.
team one more time. No, I'm just saying you're
No,
4-6.
you're talking me into them.
4-6 heading into the final stretch of the season when you have like the Giants,
Cincinnati.
Carolina, you get Cincinnati at home, you got Tampa at home. You play Washington twice.
Yeah. All right.
So win that first one in Washington. I don't see it though. It doesn't
All right.
seem.
Oh man.
Nah, I don't see
you
it.
had me. You had me, and then you bailed. What
Well, I'm
happened?
just trying to think. I'm trying to plan out the rest of
No,
the
I
year in the
know.
pod, and I know you love to fool yourself into thinking the Cowboys might have it.
I'll be fine. You know what? I'm going to be talking Mavericks a lot. I don't know.
Oh,
why,
Mavericks,
but,
okay.
No, but you're
Other
right.
Dallas teams.
The other problem, really, it sounds stupid, but the other teams keep winning. So then we're chasing a number, like you said, we're
Yeah.
3 games behind, and we're not even that good.
My biggest regret of the summer is not picking Washington to win the division, and I blame House. That's just where I've landed. I blame House because I called House and I asked him, and he talked me out of it. But they just keep. This is what happens every year. It doesn't have to make sense, right? They just like Washington didn't play that well today. The Giants kind of ran all over them.
Yeah.
And they didn't made enough plays to win. They won by 5. They just keep putting the wins up, keep advancing to next week. They believe in their QB. There's always a video of them in the locker room celebrating after. They had this crazy Hail Mary win. And it just seems like they have it. And then you have Philly, who I want to talk about after the break. But I'll tell you what Dallas did for me. $1 million picks. We had Dallas to 7.5. And the over, I think 45.5 had to go over.
Right.
And Koo is kicking an extra point to go up, I think 15 and misses it. And it becomes a 14-point game. So now I get the Cowboys cheap touchdown to cut it to 7, and I'm going to cover everything at once, right? Cowboys score with like 2 minutes left. They're down 8. They go for 2. There's like 3 minutes left. When did this become a thing that you go for 2 down 8 with under 3 minutes left? I've seen teams do this now 3-4 times. Like, what's
All
the
the
point
time.
of this?
Yeah, I don't
It
know.
now puts pressure on the other team because they're down. You're up 6 instead of 7. You're going to act like more skittish. I don't get it.
You could stick it in front of me, the numbers that indicate it makes sense over, and I'll just sit there with my arms folded. I'm like, I don't want to see it. This doesn't make sense. You're saying our 2-point attempt is better than anybody else's, and it just isn't. I don't go.
They end up getting it, and they lose by 6, and I hit my bet. So now I feel like I'm square from losing the Hail Mary game last week.
Yeah.
Because I lost a Hail Mary. I don't think I've won a Hail Mary game ever. I've been on the losing side of like 5 of them. But
yeah, no one's ever won a Hail Mary game. But I am happy you mentioned Koo missing and everything. I feel like we're at a good place in the season where the offenses were down and kicking. Everybody was making a 59-yarder. Now the kicking's off a little bit.
Yeah.
And the offenses are good. Those early afternoon games, Dallas, that was 48 points. And, Baltimore put up 41. Buffalo, Miami was 57 points. So I'm enjoying it a little more.
I agree with you. We're going to take a break for the podcast. Stay here on the YouTube live. Okay. Eagles, Jaguars, where we had Nick Sirianni trying to out-dumb Coach Middleseat. It wasn't an out-coach. It was an out-dumb coach. What's the right verb for this? Uncoach? Decoach?
Yeah.
Miscoach?
Dumbassery. I don't know what
in-coach.
the verb would be.
I guess the opposite of out-coach would be in-coach?
Yeah.
So Sirianni's trying to in-coach Coach Middleseat. What a battle. I mean, I don't know how many times the Eagles didn't get it on 4th down. I don't know. They were 0 for 3 on 2 points. They were up 5 near the end after they had almost blown a 22-point lead and tried a 58-yard field goal to go up 8. Didn't get it. And all of a sudden, the Jaguars are basically at midfield with a chance to win the game. My friend Mike Tolan was there, and lifelong Eagles fan who I share Clipper tickets with. And I'm texting him through the game, and I'm like, I can't believe you're there for us. And he's like, I can't either. And then as Jaguars get the ball, he texts me, it's really happening. No way we stop them on this drive. My 3 friends I'm with have all vowed they're not coming back if we lose this game, like ever. And then what they didn't count on was Trevor Lawrence was like, look, I suck. There's no way I'm pulling this off. Trevor Lawrence was so bad in this game. Anyway, these were this was the Spider-Man meme of terribly coached, dumb, stupidly played games.
It really was. And if there were 8 opportunities to figure out 4th and 1 or a 2-point conversion, Sirianni wasn't there for any of them. He just wasn't. And I feel like Saquon, as great as he was, 159 yards rushing, and what do you have, like 40 receiving? He almost had 200 yards total. I feel like he was on some kind of weird drug. They might want to investigate this because he was
like
doing
the limitless
stuff.
drug.
It could be the limitless
like
drug.
He hurdled somebody backwards.
Right, spinning around, hurdled someone backwards, but then dove slid on what he thought I think was 3rd and 1, but it was like 3rd and 6.
Yeah, that was weird. I thought he was trying to stay in bounds to keep the clock going, but it just also felt like he could have gotten the 1st down and ended the game.
Yeah. I don't think he counted the false start penalty that had just happened, but that was Sirianni. I don't know how he escapes these. It's bizarre.
I'll tell you. So here was one of my many questions for you about this game. Who is the most entertaining fan base with a frustrating NFL team? Because I think it might be the Eagles. I thought the shots of the fans during the game as weird shit was happening was like unparalleled. Because when they cut to like the Browns fans, you feel bad for them. Like they're sad. They look like they've just been released from prison or they've just found out like something terrible about a relative. Like you actually feel bad. Same thing for like Buffalo fans and
I was going to say Bills fans. Well, they're the other. I think they seem happy no matter what. I know in general they're tortured because they haven't won, but yeah, you're right. So far, I'm looking through, but so far you're right. It's got to be
because it's Eagles and Jets in the finals, right? Because they're all wearing the goofy green jerseys. It's cold out. They kind of can't believe they spent their Sunday going to a game like this, but they had some of the funniest. I would have watched a whole separate TV of just the camera painting around, just showing the Eagles fans. They couldn't believe what was happening because this game was 22-0. they kick a PAT, and I think there was a penalty, or maybe there's a penalty on the touchdown, and it moves to the 1 yard line. So Sirianni's like, oh, tush push. Let's go up 24-0. And they fucking stopped the tush push.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh. Then Jacksonville scores. Somehow they pull off a 2-point, which was a miracle. And then we have this Saquon fumble, and all of a sudden it's 22-16 in like 5 seconds. It's like, what just happened? And then you just kind of knew what you were in for. But man, this Eagles team, once AJ Brown comes out,
that was it. That's all I was going to say.
They just seem like a pretty ordinary team.
2 for 36. He has a knee injury now, so that was rough. But yeah, you're right. Ultimately, it was Trevor Lawrence saying, all right, I got to get some of these fantasy owners some points for me.
Yeah.
But I have no intention of winning this game.
Well, I looked this up. So Trevor Lawrence is his 5th year. Do you know how many times Trevor Lawrence has fallen behind by 20-plus points in an NFL game?
Ooh, 5th year, so 64 games. 16? That's too many.
325 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was way off.
Yeah. My math might be off, but I did. That's what the research said. Now, it's like, is any quarterback down 20 more than this dude?
No.
It feels like it happens 6 times a season. And it's like, it's almost like he wants to be down 20 because that's when he can finally cook. But these two teams, you have the Eagles who literally can't taste their own blood unless they're up 22 blowing a lead. And then you have the Jaguars who are in a coma until they're down 22. So it's just a perfect matchup. Plus Middle Seed Doug out there.
Would you say the Eagles are the second best team in the NFC, or you put the Vikings ahead of them?
You know, I had that question for you with Packers-Lions because I think the Packers lost their number 2 spot today because they were really bad.
Too. I think they lost it to the Eagles, unfortunately, as bad as they were. And this team's going to be around.
Well, flip the question around. If you're the Lions, what team is on your radar the most in the NFC?
But that might just be because we don't want to play the Packers. They're a division. They're going to be a little hungrier. That might not mean that the Packers are better, but until the 49ers heat up with McCaffrey, I would say the Eagles are second.
I think you're right because on paper, they do all the things you would want to be able to do in January, right? They can run the ball. Right. They can make some big plays down the sidelines or deep. Their quarterback can make plays on 3rd and 7. It feels like they can rush the passer most of the time. On paper, sure. I don't trust them at all, and I think they're poorly coached.
I'm with you. I think more times than not, they'll figure out the 3rd and short, which is also a huge, huge advantage in January, right? I mean, they get to 3rd and 3 now with Barkley and Tush Push. We talk as heterosexual men. We talk about Tush Push way too much on a Sunday. I really don't know. I don't get it.
You know what I don't understand about the Tush Push? People are like, it's not as good anymore because Kelsey's not the center. It's like, what does he have? Like the strength that moms get when their child is trapped under a car and they get the strength to like lift the car up? Is he superhuman? So he's just that much stronger than a center that he could just collapse a defensive line forward. This is the difference.
Remember,
one
Bill,
guy.
He would take 2 defensive tackles and he'd push them through the goalpost, and then everybody else would be like, "What's going on with this one guy?" I don't know.
Well, apparently he's super strong.
He could break a phone like no one's business. I'll tell you that.
Incredible Jaguar season. Like really an all-timer. I feel like I've watched probably too much of their season, or I've had money. Today I had an Eagles tease. I had a tease in real life and $1 million picks. Had to sweat that fucking thing out. Eagles down to 1.5. Didn't know that would be a sweat fest. So
this might be set a record. I'm sorry to interrupt, for years from hell. Like, how many year from hell teams are there? You know, you mentioned the 17, whatever, with 2 wins, but just you wouldn't have pinned this on the Jaguars or the Cowboys. You know, like, you don't think the Cowboys were going to end up with 6 wins, did you? And now it's looking like something like that.
Well, you had, what was the year near the end of Romo? You went like 4-12.
Oh yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah.
Sometimes in the NFL, when it goes wrong, all of a sudden you're like, "Wow, we just won 5-11. What happened?"
Right.
It's like the Anchorman fight scene. It's like, oh my God, Brick killed the guy. I'll say this about Lawrence. He's just really unimpressive. He's really inaccurate. I don't think he knows where the ball's going sometimes. He makes boneheaded decisions. Like, I was so nervous I was going to lose that tease. And on the other hand, I felt like pretty comfortable that Lawrence was the guy ready to foil it because I didn't think he was going to do it. And his last drive was awful. Like, his passes were spraying all over the place.
I think like maybe I'm looking now. All right, he took off 5 times. Like a lot of these guys, and it drives me crazy with Dak. But hey, we gave you all this money. Do you plan on running the ball at all? What if it's like 3rd and 6 and you see nothing open except you have a big lane up the middle? Are you gonna run, or are you gonna tuck? Are you gonna throw it into the sideline? I would love some honesty out of these guys. I feel like we used to see Trevor Lawrence run and scramble for 15 yards more than, and now maybe because it's year 4 or 5, he just doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it seems like when he gets ahead of steam, it's pretty great. Kyle and I are having a lot of trouble adjusting to Drake May taking off because there hasn't been a Patriots quarterback that's run like this since I was a kid, when it was Steve Grogan before he blew out his knee. But sometimes he'll run up the middle of the line, which is like Josh Allen can do that. Lamar can obviously do that, but he'll go back, and if it's not there, he just goes up, and all of a sudden he's a running back, and I'm just not used to it. We're like, oh my God, what's he doing? Oh, don't get hurt. You're nervous all the time. But he really did look like Josh Allen in some different moments today. Like, he's not quite as big as Allen is, but it's a lot of the same playbook. Now, he had a couple terrible throws, but it's his 4th start
when
ever.
your quarterback's running for first downs, it's exciting, and he's young, and you just
I thought he carried them. Like, his offensive line was abysmal. His receivers are awful, like just awful. The running game was non-existent. I think the other running backs were like 10 for 12. Other NFC game, because we talked about the Eagles, was Packers-Lions, which I was glad I didn't take $1 million picks because House and I talked about it for a while. We didn't know where we were getting from Love. And even to the end, the tease with the Packers felt good, but it was like, how healthy is Love? Then the sloppy conditions, bad weather. But it felt like the Lions checked off another box, Sal, where all these reasons not to think they're going to win the Super Bowl. And then you start getting to outdoors, bad weather. What are they going to look like? What's Goff going to look like? They were fine. They dominated the game. They didn't even do that much offensively, but defensively they were really good, and Love was terrible. I thought it was a weirdly good win for them because it wasn't like an explosive Lions win. It was kind of like a tough guy December-January game that they pulled off.
Absolutely. And I don't know what happened with House between Friday and Sunday, but everybody was on the Packers on the Ringer pregame show today. Like, no, this is their downfall. But I think we do this probably because we've gotten bit in the ass before, but we do this with super good teams like Detroit, and Buffalo, maybe like, all right, they have to come down to earth. They're now 40-15 against the spread in their last 55 games.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's 73%.
What a crazy number. Jesus.
Yeah. 40-15 cover. And, because then it's raining a little. Not that Goff had an amazing game, but they did shut him down. The defense, you're right, is the most surprising without Hutchinson, right? They're not getting that rush, but they're still holding these, they're still making teams punt.
And I'm surprised without Jameis and Williams. I thought their offense wasn't great today, but they made a couple of big 4th down plays. And they always get just enough done to pull it off. It was a bad Jordan Love game. And I don't know how hurt he is, but this is another weird. He's had a couple stinkers this year, and I'm not ready to do like, are we sure Jordan Love's good or any of that stuff? But I just don't think he's been nearly as good as I thought he was going to be. When you think of like the promise of the playoffs last year, what he looked like down the stretch last year, I just don't think he's been really erratic.
He's also hurt. I mean, you saw him. They had the opportunity to snap the ball with the time elapsing, right? And he just couldn't even make it up the field. So,
couldn't. He was like kind of waddling. Yeah, so that's why I don't want to overreact to it, but he was bad today, and it was one of the reasons they lost. They needed him to be. There was also some classic wet weather stuff, like some drops and. So
the Lions. I mean, this is what happened when you're well built and well coached. Right? You win games like this, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they had 24 points and you would never thought they were going to lose that game.
Rams-Seahawks was probably the game of the day.
Yeah.
So every year I feel like I get irrationally attached to a team, and I think it's the Rams this year.
Yeah.
I just like them. I like Stafford. I like that. I like how resilient they are. I really like McVay. I think they're overachieving with what they have. I like some of their young guys. Like they really hit a home run with Jared Verse. He's all over the place in every one of these games. But they had this ridiculous Puka ejection today that I still don't understand. There were some weird calls today. The Bryant Branch, that call was weird. The Lions safety that got knocked out.
Yeah, right.
There was other ones where it seemed like the guys should have been a penalty and it wasn't. I don't think they figured out that defensive back hitting the receiver penalty at all.
Oh, that's bad too. But the Puka thing, can we talk about that real quick? Like and I know you don't want an all-out brawl on the field, but some of these guys that are barely punching another guy in the helmet. First of all, punching a guy in the helmet. The referee should just point at you and laugh if you're going to punch at someone's helmet because you're going to break your hand. Like if I lost a bet and put a hole in my wall, in my own wall, I wouldn't expect the police to show up and be like, "Hey, we're carting you out of here." Right? It's like, yeah, it's my wall. I'm an idiot. I'm gonna have to do. Yeah, my knuckle. I'm going urgent care in a minute. Leave me alone. But that's a dumb way to get thrown out. And it's a dumb thing to get thrown out for, I think.
I didn't like it. This was, if I'm a Seahawks fan, this was an absolute crusher.
Yeah.
Geno had some awful throws. They seemed like they were going to pull it out when it got to 2020 near the end. JSN was going nuts. I mean, he seemed like he was wide open the entire game, just making plays everywhere.
Had shit called back, and then the very next play, he'd catch it, something big. Yeah.
And then they win the toss.
Yeah.
And then they're going down, and it's like, oh, here we go. Like, are they going to score? Are they going to get a field goal? What's going to happen? And then all of a sudden they get stuffed on 4th and 1, and Stafford just jumped all over it. But I think this Rams team, they're 4-4. It felt like their season was over a month ago. And House and I did this on Thursday. They were 5-1, I think, to win the division. They were plus 310 to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
To me, they're a playoff team. I think they know how to pull these games out. I trust them. I trust their infrastructure more than some of these other teams. Also, Kyron Williams gets really good yards. Like it's not like he's wide open on some of these runs. He's just kind of in the middle. Like he always gets like 7 yards when it seems like he's going to get 3.
He's very shifty, and he didn't score today, though, did he?
No.
This was like the first time in a while. Yeah, they're good. I got to say, I thought McVay screwed that up on 4th and 2 at the end of regulation. It was like 37 seconds left. First of all, I would have run on 3rd down, and then I would have gone for it because, again, in overtime, Seattle got the ball. They have the 12th man. Defenses are tired. They kind of got lucky, the Rams, to get that ball back and win 26-20. But you're right. They just should be plus 380 now, right? To win the division.
Yeah. So they're
still not bad.
So they got Miami at home on a Monday night, which we're doing guess the lines later, which seems like, oh, well, then they'll go 5-4. They'll beat Miami. But Miami has been better. I would watch out for that game. Then they're at the Pats. Then they're home Philly. And then they're at New Orleans. And that feels like they could go 3-1 in those next 4. If they go 3-1, that would put them at like a 7-5 range. So
I like them on the road.
I feel like they can get to 10 wins
more than anything. I really
which one?
I like them on the road. I think that's a good betting spot for them when they're on the road like this. And plus the 1.5. We got to talk about the 1.5 lines. Like this was like a weird one. Like, oh, why are the Rams favored at Seattle? They're going to really lose 4 in a row at home. Seattle. Like, Houston was a 1.5. The Jets were a 1.5. We got to figure out the 1.5, so we'll be all right.
Well, did Arizona change your opinion of them? Because they killed the Bears today, and that was really one-sided the whole game.
Yeah. I think that was going to be a game where I wasn't going to give credit to anyone who won.
That's what I thought. I didn't bet on it. House and I said, but Arizona is just on my do not bet list.
Yeah.
I'm not getting sucked in either way. I don't trust them. But they look good, and Kyler wasn't good in the game, and I thought they still dominated. Caleb was under attack.
Yeah, he couldn't get out of his one. To be fair, Geno was under attack too. I know he throws some bad plays, but they had 7 sacks. But yeah, Caleb was rough. I mean, that team was 1 play away from being 5-2, right? And now, what, 4-4?
I was going to ask you, do you think did the Hail Mary kill their season? Because they looked like kind of dead men walking a little bit today.
Yeah.
And they don't have a good coach. That's another problem. And they don't have an offensive line. They missed this window where they could have been Washington. You would have thought Arizona was a winnable game, and now it's like I just don't think that's a playoff team. They can't.
Well, we're
block.
screwed. I mean, we had that 1st to 4th in the NFC North, and it was right before that Hail Mary. It was looking solid or doable at least. And now I haven't even looked at their schedule. I guess they have a home. They're home against your team this week. All right. But then Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit right in a row.
Oh, Cerruti reports there has been a coach firing, but it was an assistant. The Raiders fired their offensive coordinator.
Oh, what did that guy do?
Apparently it was his fault that their quarterbacks were Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And then today, Desmond Ridder. Did we come up with a Desmond Ridder nickname? I can't remember.
No, we try to remember if we had it last week.
Didn't Dickie have a song with Desmond in it? What was that? Desmond Decker?
Desmond Decker. Yeah. He was a ska legend, I guess. Yeah. Desmond Decker.
Well, anyway, Arizona, I wouldn't bet on them. I'm never betting on any of their games, but they're 5-4. They stole that Miami game last week in a good way. They stole that game against the Chargers, who looked awesome today. Their schedule is a lot easier down the stretch, and they're going to have a one game. They're going to have at least a half game lead heading into next week because San Francisco's on a bye.
Well, here's the thing: we can't take every team in the NFC West, right? So we think Seattle's flawed. I think
Seattle's out. I think they missed their window. Yeah, they're 4-5, and I think they had to be 6-3 or 5-4 at this stretch with what's coming.
Right.
And they can't
missed
block.
The window.
They might have the worst offensive line of anybody.
Really bad. Really bad. In Geno's lap every play. Yeah, they missed the window. They should find it and jump out. So I think it's either 49ers or Rams. The 49ers, if I look at today's game, they're on a bye. I look like, guys, we got to get our shit together. This division, we could win it half trying here. And McCaffrey comes back. They're right in it.
Yeah, McCaffrey. So they have bye this week, at Tampa next week, home Seattle, at Green Bay, at Buffalo. Not easy.
That's an interesting stretch, yeah.
And then Arizona has the Jets at home, bye week, at Seattle, at Minnesota. And they got the Patriots in Carolina a little bit later. So Arizona I'm trying to think who would be the most fun to bet against.
Most fun?
Yeah, as like either a 4 seed, the NFC West is going to be a 4 seed,
right?
Or somebody sneaking into a 7 seed in the wild card. I just feel like
so that's we got
the playoffs would be pretty tasty.
It would have been the Bears, but it is Arizona. So yeah, and we don't want to say Washington, but who knows what they're going to look like in January.
Forgot to mention, I'm looking at my notes. Your team turned the ball over 4 times on downs today.
What?
And they said it was a record, but I couldn't tell if it was a record for the National Football League or just for the Cowboys. It was unclear from the graphic.
It's got to be.
They said some sort of record. Had to have just been for the Cowboys, right?
Is that really 4's the most? I feel like we do it 3 times on a
4's a
week.
lot. I mean, that's like 1 a quarter. You're just bombing on 4th down.
Yeah.
I like that McCarthy's expressions. Like he never knows. He's like a police sergeant in those 80s movies that can't believe one of the detectives went rogue. He's like, what? Where did Axel go? Oh my God, what happened? He always seems completely taken aback that they decided to run a reverse with CD Lamb on 4th and 1. Like, he had no idea. Like he's finding out with us that was stupid.
Yeah. We take Axel in a heartbeat as running back. Line up. Go ahead. Put the jacket on, Eddie Murphy.
What was the fake punt today where
it's terrible?
A play that seems like it should work all the time, where the punter, he's just got a wide receiver one-on-one on the side with a D-back who's going to be blocking the gunner who has no idea a pass play's coming. And yet the guy threw it and the play had no chance whatsoever.
And listen, after I watched 3 hours of a quarterback throwing to unopened receivers, so I was used to that. But shouldn't that play be, if you're going to fool somebody, isn't it easier to throw to a tight end? Shouldn't they have a tight end release over the middle, 6 yards, instead of a guy who hasn't thrown in a professional game in forever, going all the way across field?
Yeah, or the up back. Like the Saints ran a fake punt today, and it was just like they snapped it directly to the big fullback burly guy who just like ran for 8 yards. I don't know.
Shit
I'm all
heads.
for fake punts.
I hate
Let's
it.
take one more break for the pod, and we'll stay here on the YouTube feed. Okay, coming back. So, only other things to mention. The Chargers-Browns game today. I don't know how much you caught of that, but the Browns ran 76 plays and the Chargers ran 56. The Browns had 21 first downs. The Chargers had 13. The Browns had multiple times they were like inside the 10 and just bad shit happened for them.
Right.
And yet I still felt like the Chargers like kind of handled their bit. I was never worried about that game. It was 13-3, 20-3. They were always in control. The thing that jumped out today was, and I don't know if the stats totally reflected, but Herbert really seems like he's blossoming. Now, the nerds would say he's always been this way, just the team's better. But you look at the receivers, like everyone was worried about these receivers they had. And, the offensive line's been a little up and down. But I just thought he was really good in that game today.
They're good. Their offense is decent. I just I feel like we are used to them scoring 44 points and losing, with all the terrible coaches they've had.
Yeah.
And now they're in the 20s and winning. Like, oh, that's boring. Let's go back to the old team where they'd score,
Right.
50 and we laugh at them because they crapped out on the last possession. But yeah, Joshua Palmer's fine. And
Johnston, remember they thought Johnston was a bust. He's definitely not a bust. He makes plays every week.
And Dobbins runs the ball. So, and they play defense. They're in on everything. I don't know we've looked at it. Didn't we text each other this week? They were minus 150 to make the playoffs. I think they're there by default. I think now that we could wrap the Colts up pretty much, now you're looking at 4 AFC North teams pretty much have to make it in order for the Chargers to not make it.
So right now they're minus 310. So those on FanDuel. So those odds jump
Makes sense
tremendously. Thanks to FanDuel, by the way, for giving us our own little Ringer specials page.
That was nice. Today. I hope people made
You were
money.
prominently mentioned. I was thinking about how proud you were.
I really am.
22 years ago, if I had said to you, you're going to be on, there's going to be this thing called a gambling app. When we were working together on Kimmel's show in the office, like 22 years from now, we'll have this whole page of bets that we came up with. And it's going to be on.
People are going to point to me and they're going to say, well, why aren't you upset? Our candidate didn't win. I'm like, why? Because I'm featured on the freaking FanDuel site. That's why.
Right.
Care about the next 4
motherfuckers.
years. I care about week 10.
Yeah. The Jaguars are plus 630 to make the playoffs. The Colts are still plus 146.
Oh, wow.
Now, we didn't really talk about that game, the piece of benching Richardson, which we predicted last week on the pod because he was awful last week, and bringing Flacco as like this sacrificial lamb against the Minnesota defense. And he looked.
Do you think the league got involved, by the way? Do you think the league said, hey, we're flexing Jacksonville, Philly out, which turned out to be a mistake, I think.
Huge mistake.
The Colts. Do you think they're like, you gotta sit Richardson? The nation needs to see Flacco.
I think it would have been more fun if Richardson played. He's way more erratic. I think they made a huge mistake flexing out Jacksonville, Philly from a comedy standpoint. Like, what would have been more fun than Collinsworth with that game? Hey, Mike, I just saw Trevor Lawrence sometimes. This guy can wing it, Mike. He can wing it.
And Coach Middleseed, we have yet to see the Indianapolis special, but it's coming, Mike.
Denver is plus 210 to make the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, Denver, yeah.
And then Cincinnati is just even odds every week to make the playoffs. It never changes. They're 4-5. Burrow quietly is on pace for 40 touchdown passes. I don't know if you noticed that. And like 4,500 yards passing.
Yeah. He still looks bored. He still looks like he's going through the motions, right?
Yeah.
And Chase wasn't even really involved. Yeah, that was a good outing for them.
He's just waiting for T. Higgins to come back. And then we had the Bills sneak by Miami, which we didn't talk about, where Tua had a couple scrambles that were just plain terrifying.
Yeah,
it's now when he's scrambling, it's now like when you have like an 18-month-old kid watching them like run toward a wide open front door or something. It's the same kind of, oh no, oh God. Yeah.
When you're watching, you're a Dolphins fan, you got to be on like a swivel chair. You got to be like on like the Voice, because you have to be able to turn. I guess you can just cover
just
your
like
face,
turn away. Yeah.
You really just have to do a 180 and spin backwards. But yeah, we're approaching Harlem Globetrotters Washington Generals territory with the Bills-Dolphins. I mean, Allen's 8-1 against Tua, 13-2. They are with Allen against Miami. They're 8-0 in Buffalo. It's kind of gross.
It had the feeling of like this game might be rigged in the first half. Because I know like everybody had Buffalo in a tease and money on Buffalo. And there was one, Allen had this touchdown run of like 20 plus yards. And they're like, oh, flag on the play. It was a holding against Buffalo. And then they're like, there's the hold right there. They showed the replay. There's no hold. And the announcers like, they did the thing where they go, I didn't see it. You know, and then you can hear somebody in their ear like, just keep moving. Keep moving. Don't mention the hold again. But it was like super shady. But there was a couple moments like that in the first half where I was like, did they rig this for Miami? But then Buffalo won anyway.
Well, Coleman might have rigged it because he had an easy touchdown.
He dropped
that slant play that went an interception. Yeah.
So Miami with 2 wins. Really nuts. Just a couple of things I wrote down. I have no idea what a catch is anymore. Garrett Wilson's touchdown Thursday night. I would have bet my life that wasn't a touchdown. Then they were like, no, his shin was in. I was like, all right, I give up because I don't know. Then we had another one today. What was the one today with the guy had his feet in or in the back of the end zone? What game was that?
He had 2, but the knee didn't. I think I know
the knee wasn't out.
The knee was barely in. Yeah, but yeah, it is kind of stupid that like that little ball on the end of your ankle can count as a point, but you have to get 2 feet down otherwise. But we're seeing some great catches. I think we should appreciate what was
some one-handers.
Athleticism, just spectacular.
The one-hander in the Rams game was fucking nuts.
Oh, man.
Robinson.
It was really like he thought, all right, this is not going to count unless I catch it with one hand. So I'm not even going to use the other one to get free. Really great.
Jameis crossed the 100 interception mark. I just want to congratulate him.
Oh,
he's
he
at
did.
102. Yeah.
Nice. You know, he's so great in the interviews. They should have presented him with a cake afterwards.
Do you think
I'm hungry? What would he have done? Crab leg cake. Have at it.
I wonder, I mean, he'd be a really good announcer after he retires. I don't know if he'll actually get hired to be an announcer. Another thing I wrote down, I think we've just run out of 4th down plays. They don't seem to work anymore. And the 2 yards and in, every variation, and everybody's trying to basically do the next level of what you think the play is that they're going to run. Like the Eagles, they don't use Saquon Barkley around the goal line. Right. For reasons that remain unclear, because I actually think he's pretty good around the goal line, right? He's small and strong and should be able to dive 2 yards. But we just see all these like weird reverses. Like Denver ran a Philly special today that actually worked where Drake may had to catch the ball in traffic. It's like whatever happened to just like lining up and blowing a team and having like your big Mike Allstott type guy just ramming into the line and scoring. Are those days gone?
Yeah, CD Lamb had an end around, which I think he was officially tackled before he was even handed the ball.
Yeah.
So that was weird. But you're right. Like Jonathan Taylor just a half hour ago wasn't in the package on 4th and 2.
Yeah.
Like, you got to at least pretend, right?
I don't get it. And then I thought Brady was just bad today.
Yeah.
That Lions-Packers, which I thought was a really good game. And I found myself, I just really wanted better announcers for it. He just doesn't tell me enough. And, he was talking about the weather, and sometimes it's hard to catch a pass. But I just felt like what was going on with Love, like Brady's obviously played hurt. I really wanted, that would have been the perfect, Romo would have dove into that and be like, I can tell Love's hurt, and here's why. Watch this throw, watch this plant leg. Like, just teach me something. Brady's not teaching us anything.
I feel like he's getting advised in the wrong way. I think he's
100% agree.
over preparing for these. And in those, on Friday, they interview each coach and everything. And I think he's overemphasizing what's going on there, where he should just sit back and do what you're saying. That's what we want to hear. You're the quarterback. You're the general of the field,
He should do a blind game and not even know who's on either team and just fucking watch the game and tell us what he sees. See, I don't feel like he's doing that at all. See, now it's going to be sports blog post. Simmons and Sal eviscerate Tom Brady. I'm not like, I think he's being poorly produced is where I've landed, because I think whatever they're telling him to do, it's not working. And I don't feel like I'm watching the game with him. He comes in the beginning. He's got this like fake energy where he's going, oh, I'm so excited for this one, Kevin. And it's just like, None of it feels genuine to me. And then on top of it, he owns a piece of the Vegas, and it feels like he can't be as critical maybe as he wants to be in certain spots. But I thought that game today, I wanted him to dive into Goff. Like, what did you see with Goff? You went against him in a Super Bowl. How has he evolved over the last 6 years? This guy's like one of the greatest resources in football that we have, and they don't tap into any of it.
And it's not even that he's so accomplished as a player. We've heard him in interviews. We know he could do exactly what you want him to do there, right? We know he can analyze from that perspective. So that's why it falls short. But
well, and also we're watching all these other games, and he's getting dusted by other announcers.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're just like Romo doing the other game today. Like he was doing the Baltimore game. He's just way better.
Greg Olsen gives us a better quarterback's perspective than Brady does, the tight end,
Yeah,
so that's what
I know it's in there, and they have not unlocked it, and I think they really have to figure it out. And he seems super over prepared to me. Yeah, and
this could just be like is it a one and done? You think he could be out?
I don't think he's good at it.
Yeah,
and then now we've had 9 weeks, and I feel like he's gotten worse than he was 4 or 5 weeks ago. Now he's gotten like too many notes. But it's when we get to the playoffs, and this is like there's only one game on, it's going to be pretty glaring when we're watching all these other playoff games and these guys are doing, he's competing against people that are watching games that instantly can be like, oh, watch this over here. And when he has a good point, he's so excited to tell you the point because he's like, oh, I know this is good. And it's almost like none of it feels natural to me.
It's like hitting a buzzer. He's playing a game show.
I got one about that Sam Laporta pass. It's just everything about it feels off and not genuine to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had the first couple of weeks where he didn't say a word. He wasn't filling the dead space, and that was rough. And then I think he had 2 or 3 where he was getting the hang of it, and you got excited. And now you're right. Now he's like just super, super hyper tense about every play.
It's been great for Aikman. It's been great for Collinsworth. It's been great for Romo because he's not even remotely on the level of those dudes.
Are you done eviscerating? There's got to be more.
Was that an evisceration or an obliteration?
God, it was
how about this?
Obliteration, I think.
How about this? Who are the people watching these games going, Brady was awesome?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I learned so much from Brady. Like he's just not doing a good enough job. I really think they need to hit the reset button, clear the cachet, start over, and just be like, we overloaded you with too much stuff. Let's get back to the basics. Just watch the game with Burkhardt. Tell us what you see. Come into the game with like 5, 6 little things that you want to hit. Like Jared Goff, I played against him. Boom, boom, boom. Jordan Love, he's hurt. I had a strained groin in 2013. Here's what I learned. I learned that I had to like get rid of the ball fat. Like that's the kind of shit we want. And they're not giving us any of it.
You know what? I just had a good idea.
What?
And I don't think they'll do this, but they should replace Brady and Fox should pay Deshaun Watson $350 million. But then you hear the quarterback's perspective from a one that sucked, couldn't get out of his own way for the last 2.5 years or more. Well, just paying that money. Oh, people go apeshit.
I thought you were going another direction. As you know, I hate the 3-man booth, but I actually think he needs the 3-man booth. I think he needs like a curious third person who can kind of set him up. I always felt like Kornheiser when he did Monday Night Football and it didn't work out, but the potential of it was a curious person in the booth. He was like asking Jaws questions, right? And Tirico hated it, which is why it didn't work.
You know what? But, try 1 week with Gronk in there. They can make fun of each other.
Yeah, I would actually do Edelman. I think if you put Edelman in there, he needs something to loosen himself up. Right. But they're not going to do it because they don't want to admit defeat, and he's hosting the Super Bowl and they're paying him this crazy number. But it's just not good. That was a really cool game today that needed better announcers. Okay. Guess the lines. Ravens-Bengals. What's the record, by the way?
5-3-1. You're ahead heading into week 10, but I'd be shocked. I think I put myself as a plus 1,400 today.
Ravens at Cincinnati is the Thursday night game. And that's awesome.
It's the other way, right? Cincy at Baltimore.
Oh, did I write that down wrong?
Yeah, they already played in Cincinnati. It was 41-38.
Yeah, my bad.
All right, so I get that one. I'm up on nothing. Good.
That's an automatic forfeit?
That's
I don't
it.
know why
It's
I
a false
capitalized the
start for you.
Bengals. Well, this is an awesome Thursday night game.
Very good.
Dare I say a must-watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this to Kyle today, and I've said this probably in 5 of the 9 weeks we've done a pod, but Lamar in the multi-view is still the MVP by far. I don't know if he's going to win the MVP of the league, but he's so much fucking fun. We made the mistake 17-10 in that Bengals game. I mean, the Broncos game. I took them off the 4, not realizing that, of course, Lamar was going to figure out how to score like a 60-yard touchdown in the last 30 seconds of the game.
17-10.
What was I thinking? Yeah, what was I thinking?
I was glued to it at 41-10 because I needed Denver to win the fourth quarter. I was like, I'm so smart. Baltimore's given up 82 points in the fourth quarter in the last 6 weeks. I'm betting Denver blindly, and they couldn't. They went on 4th and goal from the 7 twice, and they couldn't make it. But
well, I sent in the 13-point tease to you guys, I finally lost it. One of the legs was the Broncos plus 22, and it was the first loss I've had all year.
Even so, you had a shot. You had a little bit of a shot.
I
in the
did.
Fourth quarter. Yep.
Bo Nix had other ideas. All right, so if it's Ravens, I'm going to forfeit my pick for this because I had the wrong team.
It's okay. Just guess it. I was actually somewhat close on this, but go ahead.
Well, I would say Ravens by 6.
All right, now you get it. I said 5.5. It's 6.5. That's a terrible way for me to lose that one, but yeah, 6.5.
I'm happy to forfeit that one. I don't.
Nah, it's not going to matter. I promise, it's not.
Okay.
I was so off.
That's probably too many points, right? I feel like the Bengals will be completely unafraid to go into Baltimore.
Yeah. Just trying to think what they're
trying to think if they'll ever have any chance of stopping Derrick Henry.
Well, I mean, there's that
3 hours.
Right? Yeah.
On a Thursday night, 4 days after they just played.
I kind of don't trust either defense. And there was 79 points scored in the first game. And I almost think the defense has got a little bit worse since then. So.
Well, I have a new category. We've never done this before for the next one.
Yeah.
We've had the poop fecta. We've never had a poop fecta game in Germany as bad as this. So I looked up the German word for poop.
Oh, good.
And it's Kacke. This is the Kacke fecta game. Kacke fecta. It's the Kacke fecta. Giants-Panthers.
Yeah.
An outright travesty that can only take place in the Vegas zone. And I went Giants by 4.5.
Yeah, you get it. I said 4, and it's 5.5. They can't make it big enough. I'm still surprised at this.
Sal, I got to be honest. Might not get up for this one.
I was just going to ask you, what time you up for it?
Probably a halftime, and somebody will be up 17-0, and I'm not sure which team.
Do you have any fantasy players? We got it because games are consumed differently now.
Any
right?
fantasy players? None on the Giants. Definitely none on the Panthers. So none across the board.
Can I read you something? You played our friend Brad in fantasy. He sent me a note.
How bad my team is?
Well, you decide how you want to take this. He says, Simmons, good dude, excellent friend, wonderful father, dog shit at fantasy football.
How can he say that?
And he says,
I'm great. Did you tell him how great I am in the other league?
All of these descriptions are very much understatements, he writes. Sorry. Have a talk with him.
I spent $120 on Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp, and DJ Moore. DJ Moore had the opposite of a breakout year. 3.3 points today.
Yeah, he had like a measles breakout, basically.
Travis Etienne for $36. Another mistake. Yeah, not great. Sometimes it's just not your year in fantasy. I mean, Brad did take 9 running backs.
Yeah, I know. He was making fun of you. I had to stop him because he was talking about how many quarterbacks you took. And I was like, wait, slow down.
No, I only took 2.
Yeah.
The problem is all my quarterbacks suck. I have Dak, who left the game early today. I mean, how did I get 13 points out of Dak against the Falcons? That should have been like a 30-point game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He had other ideas.
I don't know. I can't stand it.
Sunday marquee. So initially, when I wrote all these down on Thursday, I had Eagles-Cowboys as the Sunday marquee.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it there, but I don't think it's the marquee game. But it's probably the most interesting game because you might be a different coach for you guys. You might have a new coach after the game. You have the Eagles, who are just an unintentional comedy all over the place every game. And I'm going to say Eagles by 3 in Dallas.
Oh, wow. I said 4.5. It's 6.5.
Oh,
Yeah, we're pretty bad.
wow. You're 6.5 point underdogs at home to
At
Philadelphia.
home, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. I mean, CeeDee Lamb has like the shoulder contusion, right? Dak, I mean, I could just see these guys bailing, right? We could have a Cooper Rush game here.
I wish Cooper Rush had been a little better when he came in.
Yeah. Maybe he
It wasn't
steps
like,
up.
oh, could have a quarterback controversy. Those words were not uttered during the Cooper Rush half hour that he played.
No. Take the Cowboys plus 12.5. They'll cover that. Take them on a teaser.
Definitely 100% not putting that.
I do want to give you credit though for your Thursday teaser. Like this is the way to play a teaser, right? Like the Jets were a 1.5 point favorite. Ridiculous. They went to 2.5 and you're like, oh, I'm over the touchdown. You took the Texans plus 8.5, right? Beautiful. Yep. A little lucky at the end, but that's the way to do it.
A little lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I found out? 7.5 used to be the number for me, but now, like I lost on the Colts today at 7.5. I think it has to get to 8.5 on these teasers when you're going the other way now. The 7.5 isn't good enough.
There's 28-20s all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right. Yeah.
Watchables. I got 4. First one is Bills at Indianapolis. For a couple of reasons. Bills, I think, have just been a really fun multi-view team all year.
Yeah.
Colts, I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. They just go back to Richardson next week. What do they do? It's also like if the Colts lose this game, their season's probably over. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And I feel like these teams play good games. So Bills at
I think
Colts.
it's Flacco. I think it's Flacco again, but
I'm going to say Bills by 3.
Did I get this? Oh, we split it. I said 6. It's 4.5.
A little Vegas zone.
Yeah.
So the Bills, are we just the whole year? I'm just never gonna feel that great about them, and they're gonna go like 15-2.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Like, do you watch them and go, "Oh man, look out for these guys"?
No, I don't. But I'll tell you what just resonates with me: the way if they ever have to win, they just get it done. The way they won the last.
If they need 3
last
points, they'll get the 3 points. Yeah.
Or if they need to put together a streak. So their over/under wins is 12.5. I still like it over. It's a plus 142. I still like it over.
Is that on FanDuel?
Yeah. I'm seeing they only have like 9 teams listed.
12.5 plus 142.
Yeah. They'll get it.
So they'd have to go 13-4. The problem is they're going to have the division clinched and probably the 2 seed with like 2 weeks to go, right?
So they'd have to go 6-2. Yeah, why would it? But
they're going to be the 2 seed,
though. The 1 seed won't be clinched, though, right?
KC's getting the 1 seed. KC's going to go 16-1 or 15-2, right?
They play KC, 49ers, Rams. Actually, they do have a tough slate. They end twice in 3 weeks against the Patriots, but
Chiefs are home for the Broncos. I floated this out a couple weeks ago, and I think it's official after the Baltimore game. I think Denver is the good bad team in either conference. I think they're officially 2024's good bad team.
Oh yeah,
they play the other bad teams. They're going to win. You raise the level of competition on them, they're losing. That's the Denver Broncos.
Bad good team, but you're right. Yeah, they're the good bad team. Who else could it be? Who's in contention for that title?
I mean, you could say anyone in the NFC South.
Arizona.
Well, Arizona's had a couple good wins though.
Yeah, at very close games. Their margin of victory, except for today, is in those games, it's very low.
No shots fired at our friends from Washington, and I couldn't be happier for them. But I wouldn't rule out Washington for the good bad team either.
Well, it's funny. You asked me, did the Hail Mary kill the Bears? Just eviscerate them, I think is the word to use. But I feel like the Hail Mary, and they won today, so it's a little less of a great point. But I feel like it didn't give them momentum. I feel that game showed me that they've leveled off, right? Washington. They're not the team that punted twice in 3 weeks, right? So they're going to have to pull one out and a close one against the Giants every week. So maybe they're the good bad.
Niners-Bucs in Tampa. And I really had trouble with this one because I think Vegas is going to respect the Niners a little more than maybe they deserve. So I'm going to say Niners by 3.5 at Tampa.
That's exactly what I said. And we were a whole field goal off. 6.5.
Oh, my God. So they're just jacking these lines now.
Yeah, they are. So now
That's
you have
too
that
high.
in mind. Well, McCaffrey's coming back, right? And Tampa's on a short week.
I don't. Would you bet your life McCaffrey's coming back?
No, I don't know. I just kept
I
hearing
don't trust
week
that.
10. Right. But they had the bye, and now Tampa's on a short week, and they still don't have those receivers. I guess we'll know better tomorrow.
The last one might be, this was the other choice for the marquee game, and probably should have been the marquee game since the records are so good, but we put your
Jacksonville
stupid team
home.
there. No, Washington at home for the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
It's a solid game. I'm going to say Washington by 2.5.
Wow, you nailed that. I said Pittsburgh by 1. But tell me why they're a favorite, Washington. Like, if you did power rankings for these teams, wouldn't Pittsburgh be ahead of them?
It's the offense on Pittsburgh. I still don't think people trust it on the road.
Yeah.
That'll be it. So you think like these two teams are probably even and maybe a slight edge to Washington because they can score more points would be.
I think this would be a team that Washington would have trouble moving the ball on, right? More than anybody.
I'll tell you, 2.5, that becomes a tease candidate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, for sure. Well, they have 7-point teasers if you want.
Let's take a break for the podcast and we'll keep going on the YouTube channel. All right, the watchables. So we did those, but we're on the fairly, let me start that again. We're at the fairly watchables.
You can't, we're live.
Vikings-Jaguars in Jacksonville. Will Coach Middleseat be at this game?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
he will.
Great.
I think that guy just goes a lot longer than he's supposed to. He's the guy that we might still be making fun of next year.
I think that's the Bell. I think Belichick is either Jacksonville or Vegas.
Mm.
I don't think he'd mess with your team because your team's a losing hand.
Belichick is having fun, man. He's not into this coaching thing anymore. He's become like Jim Carrey. He's dressing up funny. He's like a physical comedian. He's posing with his mermaid girlfriend for Halloween. He's loving it.
This is a year-long plan by Bill Belichick to prove that he's not like the grumpy curmudgeon that couldn't take over your football team, because that's probably why he didn't get a job, because Kraft was bad-mouthing him. And it was like, this guy's a pain in the ass. He sucks to be around. This has been Belichick proving that there's actually a personality there, which is what everybody who knows him has said.
So you think the next interview he pulls up that picture, the mermaid girlfriend? It's like,
I think he's going to keep on Thanksgiving. I think he's going to be wearing an apron, going on Chang's show, making turkey with Chang. Like, I'm prepared. He's on a quest to prove that there's a personality there.
Wow,
I like it.
All right, I don't like it. I like it better when he was a stiff and I could make fun of him.
Vikings at Jags. I have Vikings by 2.5.
I get this one. I said 4, and it is 4.5. Square in the Vegas zone.
That's if you're betting on Sam Darnold in Florida laying points on the road. Good luck. Good luck.
We just shit on Jacksonville for like an hour and a half.
I'm not. Anyone who bets on this game is a lunatic. Right.
I'm with you.
Are you worried about Raheem, by the way?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're always worried about Raheem, but Raheem did well this week, and he starts tweeting how his wins and his demeanor in the text changes. I always get nervous. It's like watching the first 30 minutes of a movie where the main character is doing really well, and you're like, oh no, slow down, dude.
He's going to move to Vegas, so yes, there's a whole different. This is a whole different.
Well, he lived in Vegas last year.
No, I know. I think he said he made a mistake of ever moving away from it. I mean, he could probably just on comps live there for like 2.5 years.
Did he win Character of the Year for you?
I think it's
Character of the Year.
I don't know what would have to happen in the next 2 months, right? Like
he's just got a massive lead.
Yeah, Cerruti would have to rack up like 14 DUIs in the next 8 weeks. Otherwise,
I
don't know
remember
how-
when you were coming back to the Ringer to do all this stuff with us, and I was
Yeah.
like, I can't wait to bring Raheem into your life. This
great.
is like one of the great gifts I've ever given you, and it's exceeded all expectations.
It's so good. It's a beautiful gift.
What do
I
you
worry
think he's
about him,
in a
though.
sports book right now, betting on like cricket in Argentina?
I congratulated him. Like, look at you. You're in Vegas. You probably woke up 14 minutes ago and you're hitting us with 35 trends and stats that no one's ever heard of. God bless
my
you.
God.
And you can't wait to get out of that seat and do it again.
We need like a Ringer award ceremony where we can give him some sort of award. Just an epic performance by him. But yeah, he's on a little bit of a tear.
Yeah.
Raheem.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
hitting them.
Not bad.
Speaking of tears, the Cardinals home in Arizona playing the New York Jets. We did not talk about this game, the stupid game the Jets won on Halloween night with a Texans team that, just didn't have enough horses. I
I don't ever want
CJ
CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, I don't like when he has bad games, or par games. I'm like, no, I want that guy to be good every single time. But if you look at him on the road, and he got killed by the Jets last year.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't like that shit.
That whole game flipped on that crazy Wilson touchdown. I feel like the Jets were going to lose the game, and then all of a sudden they were winning, and it was very strange. Cards home for the Jets, and I'm going to say Cardinals by 2.5.
All right, so you gotta talk me through this one too. I said Jets by 2, but you're right. It's the Cardinals by 1.5. So we're fully in.
Jets aren't good.
But the Jets were favored. So why were they favored against the Texans then? Is what
Thursday night game. Only one receiver for the Texans. Texans offensive line is banged up.
I don't know, man. I don't get this gambling thing. Maybe I never did.
Poop Fecta. Bears are home for the Patriots. And you know what? It's officially, would you rather have Drake May or Caleb Williams week? And I know where I stand.
Uh-oh.
And I know where I stand.
Don't say anything.
I stand with Drake May.
Oh, wow.
You know who else does? Kyle. Kyle, who would you rather have?
Drake
Say
May.
it, Kyle.
Drake May as the clock strikes 0-0-0. That's right.
That's a
We love
loaded
Drake May.
question.
We love
That's
Drake May.
loaded.
Listen, everyone's happy with their quarterback, but we love Drake May.
Good. You should.
And if they beat the Bears this week, I would be excited. But I think the
think
Bears
10 football fan bases are happy with their quarterback. And
I know this might be a record.
I know.
Even the
great.
Vikings are like, hey, we got JJ McCarthy next year.
Right.
And the Raiders are going, well, we're not in that group. I have the Bears favored by 5.5 over the New England
You
Patriots.
edged me out. All right. I said 5. It's 6.5. 5-7. You're up 7-4. I really needed that one.
It's a field goal game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Falcons
boy,
at the
if it was
Saints. I can't imagine this not being in the Vegas zone, so I'm going to say Falcons by 4.5.
I get this. I said 3.5. It's only 3. Wait, let me see if they updated it, if it's anything different. Yeah, only 3. 3-point favorite. They played week 4 when New Orleans was a real team still, 26-24 final.
I'll tell you this, if Dennis Allen gets fired and we get a new Saints coach, I'll be taking the Saints for $1 million picks on Thursday.
Oh, really?
You know I love the new coach theory. Yeah.
You don't even know. Sight unseen.
I didn't even know it
coach
could be anybody. It could be Zion Williamson as the new coach. I'm taking the Saints.
Interesting.
Sight unseen. Blind. It's like when you do the
betting on
blind
the
soup.
coach.
It's like soup du jour on Postmates. In.
Good.
Taking it.
I like it.
Chargers at the Titans.
I
I'm
hope
sorry.
they hire
Chargers
Dion.
home for the Titans.
Mhm.
And I think this line has to be Chargers by 7.
Man, you beat me by the half point. I said 6.5, and it's 8.5.
Oof.
So you get it.
That's a tease. Titans
We
defense
trust the
isn't bad.
Chargers. Isn't it something? We trust the Chargers
Yeah.
to tease
You got a
them
good
now?
coach.
I guess we do. Yeah.
You have a good coach and a good QB solves a lot of issues.
Titans
That's it.
defense is like top 3 in a lot of the metrics.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Somehow, even though they gave up 52 points to Buffalo, but even in that
Right.
one, the metrics for the defense is pretty
Yep.
good. Sunday night, Lions-Texans, and it's going to be in Houston, Texas, in a dome.
Well, you missed one, I think.
What did I miss?
Denver, KC. Did we do Denver, KC?
I literally missed. Oh, I had that in the watchables. Fuck, I just skipped over it.
That is a watchable.
Yeah, I'll put it in the fairly watchable. I have Chiefs home against the Broncos. I have the Chiefs by 9.
Of course you win this one. I should have let you forget it. I said 8. It's 9.5.
Okay. It just feels like the Chiefs are they're just making it 9.5 now because they don't want you to tease the Chiefs. Like even this game tomorrow night has been between 8.5 and 9 constantly.
Yeah. Well, Denver, that's going to be a tough defense for Knicks to look good in the first 3
Yeah.
quarters, I think.
I'll tell you this though, they were in that game today against Baltimore for almost the entire first half.
Okay. Yeah.
Knicks missed a wide open guy for a touchdown on I think the first or second drive. He had a guy on the 4th and 2, and the play worked,
Right.
and it was there, and he missed it. It was a 30-yard touchdown.
Bad.
Then he missed another guy for a touchdown, but it didn't matter because they ended up scoring anyway. But it was going to be 17-10 at halftime if they just get off the field, and they were hanging around, and then that touchdown ended the game. It was 24. You're not winning after that. 24-10 with Bo Nix, it's a wrap. But 17-10, they were hanging around.
No, they had to make that was a game they had to make the most of every opportunity.
Yeah. Sunday night, Lions at Houston, and I have Lions by 3.
Wow. I mean, you set a record for nudging me by a half a point of my guess. I said 2.5. It's 3.5. That's fair too.
I wonder where that lands because there won't be Nico Collins, I don't think. Diggs is out for the year.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of Lions talk about how they're clearly the best team now in the NFC, and are we getting Lions Chiefs? I have a lot of Lions Chiefs stuff for the futures.
Yeah, I have Lions Bills. That's what I'm on. But
Like Lions Chiefs was 36-1 in August because
good.
I bet it when I was in Boston on FanDuel.
looking real good. I think the Lions are better, and I think this is a fair line. But you think it'll settle at 3?
No, I think it goes to 4. I think they're going to force people to bet Houston.
Pretty good rest advantage, and plus this
Yeah.
is the second road game for the Lions in a row.
Monday night, Rams-Dolphins. It's in LA. Maybe we just go to this.
Oh yeah, Monday. We don't no competing game here.
Do we just go to this?
Oh, I don't think we can. The Trailblazers are playing the Hawks, and you're gonna want to watch that.
Oh, shit. All right. I'll look at the NBA schedule. I went to...
I might go to this. Why not? We could go to this. Why not?
It'd be nice if the Rams... They should roll out the Ram carpet for us.
Yeah, Veterans Day.
I went to the Clippers game yesterday.
Oh, tell me.
First one at the arena. I'll guess the lines first.
Okay.
Rams, I'm going to say Rams home. Rams by 4.5 over the Dolphins.
Oh, I'm glad I won the last one. I said 3, and it's 2.5.
Oof. Wow.
They don't believe.
Are they thinking there's going to be a lot of Dolphins fans?
Well, they'll be right about that, but doesn't mean they're going to play well.
All right, so I won the week.
Good for you. 10-6, and you're up 6-3-1.
So, new Clipper Arena.
Yeah.
They did a great job. They built it for basketball, which you knew. So it doesn't have to be kind of wide on the sides, which you have to do for hockey. So it's very much like the Indiana Arena. So the corner seats are good. Everything feels like tight. It feels like compact. It feels like the fans are almost on top of each other in a good way. Leg room in the seats, just the moving around. It's just like a state-of-the-art arena. And then they have this whole video screen that goes all the way around. The suites are higher. They have these bunker suites. Everything they did a great job in. What's interesting, though, is Ballmer didn't want the food to be that good. So in the clubs and even in the food upstairs, like...
Really?
he has this whole thing. He wants people in their seats. So the food's like fine, but not great because he doesn't want people to be, there's no TVs. Like when you walk around in the concourse, the games aren't on all the different TVs. He doesn't want people, he wants them in their seats cheering for the Clippers. And it's noticeable when you're there. Everything is built toward like, get back to your seat, get back to your seat. That's where the action are. There's, you can plug in on your phone. You can bring a cord and plug in, and they just want you in your seat.
Yeah, it's like the hotels that purposely give you a shitty buffet, right? Because they want you out there. They want again, you get like a 26-inch TV in your room because they want you on the floor gambling. Right. Yeah, that's good. So that's a plus or a minus?
I thought the food would be a little better, but I honestly don't care because I'm going for the basketball. The team's bad. Mm-hmm. It's built around James Harden, which is a problem when you're playing Oklahoma City and they have 17 guys to throw at him. Second scorer is Norm Powell, and then after that, you're keeping your fingers crossed. So I don't. They're going to be like a 35-win team, probably worse. But the arena's cool, and it would have been nice if they had a good team. And I don't know when the next time they're going to have a good team is because they have no.
Well, they're saving a lot of money on food, so they'll be able to recoup.
They have their chicken fingers.
Over. Yeah.
The drive wasn't that bad. It's closer for you, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's probably 35 minutes for me. Getting home was a little bit easier. Parking was not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Really? I thought people said it was you could park like anywhere. Like you could park at SoFi.
It's easier, but it's not, it's not as seamless as I thought.
Still LA, right.
I also wasn't going when there was 9 other events, so that was the other piece of it. But I was trying to remember like a Clippers Saturday night game because they would never. The Lakers always got the Saturday night games or all the good.
Oh right,
like you didn't even have that many Clippers Saturday night games. So, but yeah, thumbs up. They did a great job.
That's good.
I like that we're in this new era of arenas that they actually put real thought into, where it's like, oh, if I'm in the corner, it's actually a good seat because I'm facing the court. Like in the right direction,
and the T-shirt stuff is fun too, like coming out of the scoreboard and the
that was all right.
Yeah,
it was all right. Clipper fans are pretty bummed about the team though.
Yeah,
I mean Kawhi's they should probably. I know Kawhi probably feels like he has to go, but it's kind of a bummer to see him. Because it's like. This is kind of the reason this team sucks is because they went all in on your extension and traded all the shit for you and Paul George. And now Paul George is gone. And you're just kind of here as this Grim Reaper shadow to remind everybody that you're not playing anymore. So
does Ballmer know that people get bummed out seeing him? Because maybe he put TVs in the concourse. Otherwise,
maybe
Netflix or something.
The TVs in the concourse should just show Kawhi highlights from like 7 years ago.
Right.
What do you have for Parent Corner?
All right. So it was Halloween, as you know, this past week. And, so my kid's 10 turning 11. And so like everybody comes here, the whole family comes here, a bunch of kids. So now it's like 10 kids. And we walk over to what's called the walk streets where there's no drive-through traffic. So it's just streets where everybody is given candy, one house after another. And you usually hit 2 streets and it takes about an hour. And is a million kids there. There's a ton of kids there, and it's great but terrible at the same time because, first of all, you run the risk of losing the kids you're with. And my cousin Mickey used to make them all wear like lit up balloons on their wrists, and then they're walking around with balloons in addition to their costume. But then they revolted, so she now is dressed like the Statue of Liberty, but all lit up and puts her arm up in the middle of the place to let everybody know where she is. And she leads the pack. But anyway, the whole night is me. First of all, I have my phone. I have Amazon. I'm watching the game, the football game.
And it's a good game.
Good game. I bet both quarterbacks to throw an interception, figuring one would. Neither of them did. 50 passes that could have been intercepted. All right. So I'm screaming at my phone and screaming at my kid for not saying thank you over and over when someone gives them candy. So, couple things. Inflatable costumes. Terrible. My kid went as a capybara. You know what that is? It's like a weird, some kind of weird animal in Texas. Yeah. He went as an inflated capybara and electric bikes. And they fill the street. I'm like, what are these people doing with electric bikes between that And the costumes, I was like, I'm ripping what's left of my hair out. I got to get out of there.
So people are trick or treating with electric bikes.
Yeah,
and just going from
it's
house to
nuts.
house because they didn't want to walk.
Yeah, these electric
my
bikes, are they
God.
big by you? It's disgusting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. So between that and the inflated cut. So anyway, we're back. There's no real story to this other than that they come back and the kids are all trading candy, and they're trading and eating candy at 10:30 at night. And like people say, oh, the next day should be off for Halloween. You know, kids should be off. I don't think so, because I don't want to have to deal with these kids. But it is really awful what we do to teachers, sending these little dirtbags to school. They're 25 Reese's peanut butter cups in.
Yeah.
And so I don't know I just want to apologize to teachers for Friday sending these kids to you. I know they're jacked up on sugar, or they're just
Or they're
done,
coming
right?
down. They're like,
Right,
it's like
exactly.
coming off drugs.
Yes. So next year I'm sending the teachers a letter of apology and a stun gun that they could use on my kid.
What did Harrison dress as?
He's a capybara. It's like a I don't even know what kind of
I don't
animal
know.
it
I've
is.
never heard of that. Okay.
He-
So he's
he's
wearing an
going to see
inflatable
it.
costume.
Yeah, that's it. These inflatable costumes.
Why didn't
are
he
just
go
too
as like
much.
Shohei Ohtani or something?
No,
No?
Mets fans. No, there's a lot of Dodger costumes this year. A lot of bandwagoners, I have to say.
My son turned 17. Oh, the world's largest rodents, Rudy says.
Yeah,
My son turned 17 the day after Halloween. So our Halloween, he had a friend come over, and then they just left. He didn't dress up as really anything. He put like a hat on. We didn't see him again the rest of the night. And my daughter's in college, and it's kind of a bummer. It's like Halloween's kind of over for us. It made me nostalgic. Like I have some friends who were like going out trick or treating, like our friend Jeff Chow, who was taking his kids out, and it's like we went 3 blocks, and you hear the stories, and you're like, oh man, I was appreciating it as it was happening, but now I'm like, you're still in the middle of it a little bit because at least you have a 10-year-old. But
look, I was overplaying the inflatable costumes and electric bikes, but it is awesome trick or treating with your kid. No,
well,
no.
I miss it because I was going back. I'm like sitting there at like 12:30 that night. I'm going through Halloween 2014 with the kids dressed as. I'm going through the pictures. I'm like Clark Griswold, like on Christmas Vacation, the movie, like getting sad looking at the old photos. But the fact that our kids basically Halloween doesn't matter. So my wife invited some friends over, including her. Your wife must have a couple insane friends, right?
Couple, yeah. I would kill if it was down to a couple, yeah.
Yeah, well, same for my wife, but a couple of her friends came over. Krista and Heather were over, and it was just all bets were off as soon as I heard they were coming over.
You're not supposed to call them out as insane, I don't think, by name.
Well, and I love them though, but
okay.
they came dressed as the Shining Girls
All right.
in the blue dresses. So that's how we started. There was rosé, and then they all went out. And I stayed in because I wanted to, just in case we got trick-or-treaters, but I also really wanted to watch the Texans game. Yeah. And they went out, and they came back, and my wife was in rough shape on a Thursday night. And eventually my son came back, and my wife had been a little overserved because she was out with the Shining Girls. And
Nice.
And my son was now like, whoa, what's up with mom? And I was like, we've really come full circle. Now my wife is the one who's a complete mess. My son is the one being judgmental. And I have to worry if I'm sending my wife to school the next day. So yeah, Halloween full circle in my house. Thanks to the Shining Girls for getting my wife like just blotto on Thursday night.
It sounds like they were the
Halloween,
Shining
baby.
Girls. Yeah, that's great.
And then
Yeah,
my son's birthday was the next day, but I was thinking like 17 years before that, we were in the hospital as I'm yelling at him in the belly to come out so he could be born on Halloween. And he just choked. He can't, it was 3 in the morning. It's 3 hours late. Could have been the Michael Myers baby.
You should have asked Ben. You'd be like, listen, I miss going out with you on Halloween. Can I hang with you and your friends? Can I tag along? What would he say?
He doesn't want to hang out with us.
Doesn't want to. That's sad.
No. He's in that. I was in that stage. I totally get it.
He'll
Halloween.
go back to the capybara stage. You'll see. It'll be fine.
I'll say it again. I'm jealous that you have the third kid. It's a big hole in my resume. I wish we had one more.
Could always adopt. They're
All right,
there
that's it for
you.
Parent Corner. How's the basketball gambling going?
The Not bad. I don't know. I'm doing player props because I feel like I get angrier when teams blow 14-point leads. I can live with it. What about you?
I've stayed away. I've been really enjoying all the futures I have. The one thing is I really think the Bucks might be screwed.
Yeah.
And
I
like
saw
even
that
the
on-
other night they were I think -2 against Cleveland. I just don't think the Bucks are good. And this happens in the NBA sometimes where they keep waiting for the team to right the ship, and I don't think it's going to happen with them. So at least until Chris Middleton comes back. So seems like an opportunity to keep going against them. But
All right.
all right, Cuz, what do you got to plug?
What do I have? I have, against all odds, we're going to recap the Monday night football game. We got our college hoops preview and through the ringer. Speaking of college hoops, I do it with Tate every week. It's a lot of fun. Ringer pregame show on Sunday. Going for 8-2 with my wisest wager, Simmons. Never been this good.
What did you hit this week?
I did the over in the Cincinnati.
The
Las Vegas
Cincinnati
game.
Raiders game. That
Yeah,
was easy.
that did okay.
Great one.
And Tony Gonzalez on Cousin Sal's winning weekend this Friday, so that'll be fun.
So I have one for you to mention to Tate.
Go ahead.
I guess FanDuel doesn't have it, but I saw it on Twitter.
I can give you his number if you want.
Futures.
No, which one?
No, they don't have it yet. There was a Cooper Flag for the Wooden Award bet. He was like 5-1. He was the favorite.
Yeah, I think I saw 6. Yeah.
He's definitely winning the Wooden Award. But like lock it in unless he gets hurt. I want to put money on that. Are we allowed to bet? We're allowed to bet on college basketball players,
So
right?
here's the crazy thing. You can't bet on it until he turns. How old is he going to turn? In like
18?
18. He turns 18 in January, I think. I might have the month wrong. You're not allowed to bet on it until he's 18.
So we're not allowed to bet on people who aren't 18 yet.
I believe that's what actually Tate told me the other day. So
What if it's a tennis player? Can
Who
we
the hell
bet on
cares?
what if it's like Boris Becker in the
Yeah, I feel you're right,
1986
yeah.
Wimbledon where you just can't bet on him?
Jennifer Capriati. I don't know. Some league restrictions.
I'm in
are
on as
probably
soon
more.
as we can bet on Cooper Flag, I'm in as long as it's plus odds.
Really? Okay.
He's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm in on him. All right, Cuz.
you should have your own, like, there should be a tank podcast, right? It should just be all about tanking for Cooper Flag.
Well, this year we're going to have there's 7 or 8 teams. Utah's already committed to it. I mean, that Utah's
This is
gonna
what I
be
mean.
awful.
Like 8 teams. How when are you ever going to have that again? But
yeah. There's a few of them. Cuz
All right. There
I'll
you
see
go.
you next Sunday. Sorry about the Cowboys. Good job by you.
I am too. Congratulations on Drake May. Good job by you.
All right, that's it for the YouTube feed. Thanks to Steve Cerruti and Kyle Creighton. As always, you can watch all the clips and episodes on our YouTube channel. And I'm going to be back with a podcast probably earlier on Tuesday, Election Day, so in the morning. So see you then. Bye, Sal.
See you, bub.